Hello, so we got a buyer's representation contract, and this is Ken Alger of Exit Springside Realty. Going to explain it to you here. Now, this is a contract actually, so this is hiring me as your actual realtor. So we'll go through this as kind of fast as possible. Um, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Don't mind the beeping. I am cooking some lunch right now, so you might hear some beeping every now and again. So as we get into it, there's obviously going to be a date. And there's a number of pages which should be in a buyer's rep. It says there should be five. So 5 pages. It's going to have your name, any other buyers, if there are. Broker is it'll be Exit Springside Realty when you hire me, and then it'll have the date. That's always a year after the date that we sign on. So broker's obligation to make sure that we help you locate properties that are acceptable to you, that we should use our professional knowledge to help you find that and negotiate the purchase of the property. Broker shall assist the buyer throughout the transaction. Broker shall act in the buyer's best interest at all times. That's a very important part. Subject to any limitation imposed by law or dual agency. And then so buyer's obligations, basically you work with us the best you can, try to make yourself available best you can, and try not to obstruct or block the transactions from happening. Um, Notice the compensation for purchase, lease, and rental or management of real property shall be determined between each individual broker and the broker's client. So we negotiate on behalf. So when we start getting into the broker's compensation, it's going to start asking us questions. So buyer, you agree to pay these things, which is my commission. So there usually isn't a retainer fee for buyers. So don't expect there to be one. And that would be a retainer fee would be money you'd put down to get me started. For buyers, there's really no money needed to really get started. So don't worry about the retainer fee. Like I said, I really don't charge retainer fees for buyers. Buyers shall pay broker compensation blank percent. We negotiate that with buyers. I usually work 2.5%. If you have reasons for me to make it less, feel free to talk and negotiate with me. But I mean, I need to get paid too. Don't mind my special needs son in the background making all sorts of noises too. Um, the percentage or flat rate, I use percentages. It's just easier. Whichever is greater. A lot of times we'll put zero there because that makes sense. You know, this little verbiage basically for the contract. Um, whatever. Oh, so the second part, AB, is basically saying if we don't find a property that in the time that the contract's there and you go out and let's say you do buy one of those properties we were looking at, but now you're with a different agent within 180 days after our contract expires, that I would be owed commission for that property, not all the properties. If you went and looked at whole new properties, that's a different story. It would be the properties that I showed you, but I also have 72 hours to give you a list of the properties that we looked at, and then those would be the protected properties. I don't furnish that list for you, then I'm SOL, I guess. So this part is basically saying that if there's any commission being paid, that it's not getting double billed. So we'll make sure it says shall. I don't even know why shall not's in there, because like I said, it ends up double billing the client if we do put shall not. So don't expect that in there. It might be vice versa, but I'm quite sure it shall not. Or shall not means that we end up double billing. We're not in the business, at least Exit Realty is not in the business of double billing our clients. So this little part right here is just a lot of boilerplate stuff talking about it ends with compensation and stuff there. So we'd be doing residential investment usually. Sometimes there's some other ones of these. If you're looking for commercial stuff, maybe in a commercial. If you're up looking for farmlands, for farmland, you know. The closing services. Not many people work with closers or know very many closers, so I can help you with that. Um, at, and I usually have a few closers that I can kind of work with, but I can handle that for you. 9 times out of 10 or 99% of the times, clients always have us um, find the closer for you. But you're more than welcome to find your own and use your own, but just let me know if you're going to. Additional costs or additional costs, closing costs usually. So be well aware which money you're in need for at the closing table. That's something you bring up with your lender, and your lender should be providing you a document that tells you all the money you'll need and how much everything's going to cost. If you're foreign investment, or if you're a foreign person and you're got money invest in real estate. There's some tax laws that we have to be mindful of. Private inspection and warranty, we recommend that you do it. I always recommend them. Don't ever skip them if you can. So it's at your own risk, though. If you don't get them, you don't get them. Agency representation for dual agency. Dual agency is when both the buyer and seller are going through the same broker or the same agent. Nothing wrong with it. Matter of fact, most people agree to it because they know if they don't, then we can't, let's say, bring you to any of the Exit Realty Springside or Exit Realty listings. And that might limit a good amount of inventory for you too. And if you're trying to find a house, it's probably not what you're wanting to do. There's nothing wrong with dual agency. We still have to work on our clients' best interests. Other potential buyers, there's always other potential buyers out there. So there's going to be other offers and stuff. So we might lose out because there's other potential offers out there. If you've been working with a previous agent where you have assigned one of these, you need to let me know because I can't help you then. But termination of fiduciary duties and the agency disclosure form that we talked about, the fiduciary duties, they terminate upon the end of this contract, which is either we make a sale or the year expires, but confidentiality stays. So once again, notice for predatory offenders, so you know where to find it. Very important stuff. If you're concerned about this stuff, depending where you're living, might be an actual issue. The entire agreement, this is important. The entire agreement is a contract, and all addenda and amendments signed by the parties constitute as an agreement between the buyer and the broker. So these are agreements. These are all backed up with contract and by law. So just know that. Electronic signatures, basically saying that electronic signatures that we send you are binding. There is actually certain laws that actually, it goes for everybody technically. Consent for communication, that you authorize us to communicate with you. The other will actually have a little phrase in here that says that upon the close, you'll pay for $395 broker admin fee. And then there was another clause in there that just kind of talks about, and it's just to let the consumer know that, hey, you only owe our commission if the seller isn't going to pay it. And before you have your offer even put in or accepted, you'll know that too, if they're paying it or not. So it won't be a surprise, but you'd be responsible for it only if they don't. And as of right now, sellers are still offering my compensation, so you shouldn't have anything to worry about. Sometimes for sale by owners, though, that's a different story. If you buy a house from for sale by owner, has our signing stuff, I'll sign on the left side, you'll sign on the right side. Then the wire fraud alert is the last little page and tells people, hey, don't be sending out money to people you don't know. When time comes for like earnest money and stuff, it will have to be wired. And most of the times, we can use a link, a trusted link that I'll send you that is super secure and it's super easy to use. But that's not always the case. So if you didn't hear it coming from me, I wouldn't wire any money to anybody. And then feel free to always go and file a complaint at the ICCC. And if you feel like you're being targeted through wire fraud or scam. So that concludes this document. I said it's a pretty important document because this is what hires me as your realtor. And we need to have one of these signed before I can even show you a house these days. So it is a contract. If you don't buy a house in a year, nothing really happens. You don't want to work with me, you want to sever this contract, just let me know. You got to send me an email because it has to be in writing. But that's all it takes. There's nothing holding you. We're not going to obligate you to anything. We just want to make sure that you're well taken care of. And if you want to get out of this contract, it's easy to get out of. So thanks for listening to this video. If you have any questions, just make sure you're letting me know so I can hopefully answer those questions for you. Thanks again. This has been Ken Alger of Exit Springside Realty.